Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. I hope everybody's having a great day today. We have the honor of having Mr. Marcus Merchant in the house. My brother, how you doing, my man?
Doing good, man. Trying to keep my head above water and keep busy and stay out of trouble. You know how it is. Trying to keep up with you, man. Doing
those are a tall order.
Hard.
those tasks right there that you announced, those are a tall order. Mainly staying out of trouble.
Yeah.
But my man, why don't you share with the crowd, with the audience that's listening, what you do, and what I like to do with my guests is I let them to let them start the story where they want to, and then they can kind of frame the picture.
Okay. So my earned income job is in IT. I do IT for a company out in Southern California. But my passion and my future is real estate investing. So this year really turned that on. Got started slowly, got a turnkey property and yeah, just trying to steamroll it from there. So under contract on a couple right now, and my focus really mid next year is that my wife will no longer have to work her regular job. She's a school teacher, and so as you can imagine, it's been pretty hectic and crazy this year with the whole distance learning and whole public education and politics and everything else. So that's our goal. Southern California, but investing out of state and doing it all remote. So it's quite a learning experience for sure.
Mm-hmm. And, I'll ask you because I might know the answer to this, but how old are you right now?
43, just turned 43.
Okay. Is there any part of you that wish that you would have known what you know now at 23 when you started working?
Oh yeah. I mean, I take everything in a couple ways. One, right, if I hadn't gone through what I went through in previous eras of my life, then I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So no regrets, but at the same time, if I would have started this 20 years ago, I'd be in a completely different place tonight.
And I only wanted to highlight that because I would say on a weekly basis, I probably meet about 5 guys that are 40 or 50, and they wish they had the time available now. And when I'm barking, whatever you want to call it, or ranting to these young kids, I'm trying to drive home the point that once you meet these guys, you'll understand that every minute you waste in your early 20s not creating passive income is minutes in your 40s and 50s and 60s you're going to be wishing you had back.
Oh, absolutely. You hit my age, I've got a few kids now, and I won't say that life has passed me by, but there's definitely pieces of it where I wish I could have been more present, having that, passive income to be financially free or determine what I want to do with my own time. And that's the whole purpose of why I'm doing this. Is I want my time back. Income's great and all, but I want my time. So now, as you get older, your time becomes more valuable to you than you are when you're younger. When you're younger, you got to build that income so you have that time. You're able to take that back when you hit my age, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And because I know a little bit, if you feel comfortable sharing some stories about previous things that you've overcame and kind of paint the picture of how you got to be this guy, this striking young man that I see today, because it probably wasn't, but our stories are pretty similar. So
yeah, and it's interesting. Growing up in early 20s and living on my own at an early age, at the age of 19, and a lot of changes in my life. I know one for you. You've lost a ton of weight in the last 12, 18 months or so, and I used to be 320 pounds, and I had a weight loss surgery 9 years ago, and it changed my whole outlook on life. I had my oldest and at the time, and determined I got to be around for her, so I got to change that. And but I didn't stop my other bad habits. I'm still drinking heavily at the time, and it got worse and worse and worse. And so 5 years ago, I was in rehab, 30-day rehab program, flat broke, basically homeless, and was crashing with my parents, or I had a fiance at the time, but that was obviously on the rocks for obvious reasons, and but she stuck it out, and basically helped me get my shit together. And when the rehab came out, and it's five years sober. So in the last 5 years, you take that addiction, that whatever you want to call it. Mine was alcohol. You can call it whatever you want. It's whatever that demon is, and you just got to put that focus elsewhere. And that's what I've done with, not only with my earned income career, right? That's completely same field, but completely different method of looking at it, and going to work and grinding every day. But also to that next level, right? Where I got to build myself, build my family, build that passive income, so I can get the time and teach my kids, work ethic, and overcoming obstacles and difficulties, and realizing that there's always something better out there. You always got to be striving for something, right? You might hit a plateau, you might hit your goal or target in one thing, but you got to be prepared for what's next, and keep moving, keep busy.
And when you told me your story, it's like I look at our life, and I was thinking about this yesterday when I was working out. It's like some of us, maybe a little hard-headed than most. Some of us had to go through a lot, right, to be able to come out the other side, and we're better for it. It doesn't mean that we weren't. It doesn't mean that we don't have scars. It doesn't mean that we don't have memories, right? But we're redefining who we are. But what we're also doing is leading by example, and kind of shedding some light on maybe some problems that other people can't see for themselves, right? And I know that I would imagine that you get a lot of fulfillment out of helping somebody maybe in life, and you're learning. You're always learning. I love that about you. You're trying to educate yourself, and I would imagine when you do get financially free, you'll have a lot more time freed up to give back, right? And I think that's where I get my most fulfillment. And I was just curious what you think about all that.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like some of the things I've done, I've become a branch counselor for a company called Foresters Financials, and I'm running the community outreach program here, right? My goal and focus with that is to help kids, right? Make sure kids have opportunities and see opportunities, and take those opportunities to better themselves. And we were out, took my kids out to hand out Thanksgiving dinners a couple of weeks ago, and trying to give back and let them, I get that good feeling doing those types of things, and seeing people's smiles on their faces, and the gratefulness that comes out of doing things like that. And I want my kids to do that, and see that, and enjoy those things too. And I think ultimately for me, I know one of my goals in the real estate is to get into some of the social housing, right? Being able to have a sober living facility, or a boys and girls club, or a kids program where they can come after school and have mentors, or have life coaches, or even if it's just a big brother, play basketball, whatever. Give them a safe place to be where they can grow. Both from an education standpoint, but also from a personal standpoint, and know that there's something better out there if they're willing to put in a little work and a little hustle, and go get it. You got to go get it.
Yeah, because it's interesting, and I talk to a lot of my coaching clients, or some of them in recovery, getting into real estate and so on and so on. And I think there's a mentality that I can't stand in the recovery space, whether or not you use for a year or use for 20 years, where they're just trying to get people to survive. And I get that. And I respect that. And obviously it's what I'm trying to do when I get a hold of somebody too. But there needs to be something on the other side of that they can hold on to, that's going to continue for them to create a lifestyle that they want. And that's why we say we don't want to survive, we want to thrive. And that's why, I see the avenues of business, real estate, personal development over and over again. And what I tell a lot of these guys, and they don't realize it at the time. So I was like, you're a coach. Like, you're a coach. Like, will you get paid for it? I don't know. But I know that you'll help enough people, right? And my coach it's been in the space for 15 years, and he's helped thousands of people, millions of people. And if you've experienced something and you've been through it, and let's say you're 1% or 1 year ahead of somebody where they are, then you can mentor, you can coach. And I don't think people, they don't look at their story as it matters, right? Like, who wants to hear my story? But you don't know who you're inspiring. And that's why I think there's so much power in social media used properly, podcasting used properly, and then just speaking in general. And that's why I think it's such a powerful tool, that people don't, I hear this all the time. Well, I don't have a story to share. I've only invested in one property. Yeah, but you've invested more than like 60% of people. So like, yes, you have a story to tell, and they can attach themselves to that story more than they can some guy that has 6,000 units. And I think that's what I'm trying to impart on people, is that you have a story.
Yeah, you always got to go on to share who you are, because you don't always know who your audience is or who you're helping, or it could be a little tiny nugget that they pick up from it that they take and run with it. I know when I went through everything years ago, 5 years ago or so, that people sharing, yeah, some of it I listened to, some of it I didn't. Other things really hit home, and if they hadn't shared that, would I be where I'm at? I don't know. I don't know, but you got to share that story, and it's something that I've struggled with a long time. For me, like, this is not something I've ever really talked about in any kind of public forum, other than some of those,
Mm-hmm.
AA rooms and whatnot. And so this is really an opening up for me. But I think I'm to the point in my life where, I need to be comfortable with who I am and where I came from, and know that I'm on the right trajectory now. And I have faith that I'm making right decisions and good decisions, whether it be for my kids or my family or anyone who might hear this, right? And so I put it out there. And you mentioned the coaching and, getting something for it. Well, multiple levels of that, right? You have the monetary compensation, sure, but the other thing might be, it makes yourself feel better, right? Helping someone else makes you feel better. And, if I die and 1,000 people show up and say, you know what? He was a good motherfucker.
Yeah.
He helped me, and he doesn't even know he helped me. That's all I want. Someone to, be able to say, you know what? I know him. I didn't know him well. I didn't know him personally, but I heard him talk, or I knew him from some level or whatever. And he made me just a little bit better. Changed my life just a little bit.
Well, more importantly, what people don't get, they'll call me selfish, whatever you want to call it, because I know my coach too. When you help people, you're actually fixing yourself also.
Oh,
like,
100%.
And it's like this binary product that people don't understand. You're like, oh my God, I just realized what I did, right? And so that could be, a brother, a sister, somebody you meet at the coffee shop. And that's why I think it's so powerful to create an attitude where your head's up high, you're not playing the victim, and you're seeking opportunity at all fronts, right? Because I was talking to a guy yesterday. You're not to get woo-woo, but your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and fake. So why wouldn't you tell it positive things, right? And then that's going to seep in your mind. And why wouldn't you be positive? And then over time, that's just going to be the state that you carry with you. And then that opportunities will show up even more and more.
Yeah, and part of it too is when you play the victim, you're never going to see the opportunities. They're there in front of you. You just don't see it. And when you get out of that mentality and being like, screw it, whatever happened to me in the past happened in the past. It is what it is. I've got to learn from it and grow from it, and move on. That's really what it comes down to, is putting it behind you. Am I happy with a lot of the things I put my family through, whatever? No, I'm not. But you know what? I don't have regrets, because it got me where I am today, and they're happy with who I am today. We've got good relationships, rebuild a lot of those, and it takes time, sure, but you know what? That's what it's about. It's learning and growing. So it's moving forward. That's all you got to do in life, is keep moving forward.
And so let's talk about the real estate. Let's hear, how did you get turned on to? I mean, look, I would imagine somebody in business knows the idea of real estate, right? You've owned houses, but what really was the turning point for you? Because it's not easy, right? And I'm trying to paint a picture for people that have kids, that have a wife, that have a regular job, that it is possible. right? And so I'm just trying to understand what really was the catalyst for understanding that you needed to make a change like today or when you started.
I'm trying to remember if there's any like single catalyst, but I think I got into a conference, right? One of the elite, I think it was Elite Education, the Rich Dad, whichever one, which I'll refrain from comments on my feelings on that one. But I think there's so much information out there that you can get without spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And then when you're ready to make that move, then you go on to that next level. But for me, heard about it, and it's been in my mind. I started reading, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant. I got into watching Grant Cardone, and he's an animal. That guy's an animal. And honestly, it's something I'm considering and thinking about. And I was on a red eye. I was in a red eye going to Detroit for work. And this guy sits next to me. He's a bigger guy. I could see he's frustrated. He got stuck in the middle seat, right? This is on Spirit Air, right? So it's not exactly the high-end airline either.
Dude, that's a rough. Look, I got a ticket one time, flew across the country from San Diego to Florida. I'm not saying it's a bad airline, but it's a tight airline. You know what you're getting with that price.
Yeah. The nice thing is, though, for an extra $75, you get a first class seat. You don't get any amenities, right? But you get a big seat. But this I had a regular seat, and he was a bigger guy, and I was like, you know what? I used to be that guy. I used to be the guy on the plane who did everything to avoid middle seats because I myself was uncomfortable. I felt like I was making other people uncomfortable. So I just started rapping with him. I was like, hey, where are you from? We do it, and it turns out he was into real estate. He was flying to D. He lived in LA and did all his real estate out in Detroit. And it just kind of clicked. I was like, wow, this guy's, he's living in the same area. I'm in LA area. And he's going out there to do it because it's daunting when you're in such a inflated market or expensive market like I'm in, right? I don't have the money I didn't have the money to buy a $500,000 two-bedroom townhome, right? And try and rent it out or eat the cost on it on a monthly basis for appreciation. It just doesn't work. So in talking to him, got on his mailing list and just off and on with him for almost a year. Then finally a year came up and talked to my wife. I was like, look, we got to do something. And one of them came up. I was like, this is the one we're jumping on. She's like, how we're doing it? I'm like, I have no idea, but I'm going to sign the contract anyway. Right. And we did. And it was learned some things. You always hear these, hard money is easy to get. Well, on a $50,000 property, $40,000 property, hard money lenders don't care. Right. And on an individual, they don't do individual, right? You got because they have to worry about, predatory lending and whatnot. So had a buddy who's going to go with me and that didn't work out last minute. And I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do now? I got about half the cash that I can pay for, the rest of it. And I just told the guy, I said, look, this is the situation I'm in. So I got the seller financing. Sweet. Another check mark on my belt. I learned how to do seller financing, whether I'd wanted to or not. And then just kind of sat on it for a while and didn't do a whole lot. And this is February this past year. We literally closed on leap year, February 29th, right? And then 2 weeks later, pandemonium hit, right, with COVID and whatnot. And luckily for me, this one happened to be a Section 8 tenant, so I had no issues collecting rent. It was government funded rent. And then just started talking to other people. We're in a group together with Jonathan and just started talking to people in there, and it's like, it's time to make more moves, being comfortable or not. So we got 2 flips now going on in Southern Indiana, and one of them was we did it all cash with a friend of mine, a friend I've known for 25 years, and he happens to live in Colorado now. And the other one, we went the hard money route, and so that was another learning experience. That's another check mark under my belt, things I'm learning. So now my goal for next year is I'm going to tie up an apartment complex. Okay. I want to. I'm going to.
Okay. And I would imagine, because this is one of the things I hit on the most with definitely newer investors, is the initial fear of the aspects of buying your first property are real. They're very real. It's a lot of money. But I've also seen, once you get past the initial one, man, you start knocking them off left and right. And it's almost like a muscle, right? Over and over again. And wouldn't you agree that's kind of the scenario?
Oh, 100%. Like that fear goes away, right? And for me, I've always been a little bit fearless in that regard, for better or for worse, right? And, if you're going to tie up something for, 10, 15, 20 grand, you know what? I used to easily blow that a year on booze, right? Easy. And it's not, come on, you're getting an asset with it, and you're the
Yeah.
learning experience. And that's what, a quarter of the cost of 2 years of school. If you were, if you're paying for an education to go to university, I mean, come on.
I just told this story yesterday on a podcast. I'm curious this happened to me. I had the best year financially at my W-2 job I ever had. Like when I did my taxes, I was like, good Lord, like I worked my ass off. I made good money. Like I was making money as I go. But then I did my taxes and looked at my bank account and I had no money. And I was like, well, hold on. Where's the money? Oh, it went in the nice cars we have, the booze, the bullshit, the nice apartment. And that's when I started scaling back my life and riding the bus. And it really takes, some of those moments where, more importantly, like I get it. You live in California. It's crazy expensive. But your dream is to move to the Midwest. And because you're currently at a place where you are comfortable with who you are. So what your house looks like, what your car looks like, what everything, you don't care about that. You just want time. And a lot of people, it takes a really long time to understand this concept. But when you can lock in this concept and understand that if your car's paid off and it still drives, like it's fine, because I'd rather go buy a 30 unit or 20 unit that's going to spit off cash to go buy the car. I always remember the statement in Rich Dad Poor Dad. He owned 3 condos and he was sleeping in a damn Porsche because he didn't want to buy a house, but the condos were paying for the Porsche. And and that's what I was like, oh, okay, I see the whole game here. Like you really want to get those assets, because it's funny. We did a mastermind with Bruce Peterson, and I thought I knew about syndication. I really did. I thought I knew, but I knew that on the syndicator, you got your upfront fee, and I knew you got a fee when you sell. I did not know you got a fee monthly cash flow. And then I was like, holy shit, like this. Now, granted, I know syndication is the rage right now. But what I'm trying to paint a picture of is syndication can be done with a million different ways, meaning Airbnbs, syndication with single family flips, where what I don't want to hear anymore is that, well, I need to wait a year and a half to get the money to invest. Well, no. The money's available if the deal's right. So go get the deal and then figure out the money later. And when you can switch to that mindset, it's a game changer.
100%. Even on these flips, it was the same thing. It's a great deal. I know it's a great deal. We're looking at it. I'm gonna sign it and figure it out on the back end. Because then all of a sudden hustle kicks in, right? You're like, well, shit, I'm on a time limit now. I got to get this done. However, I got to get it done. And that's what really for me, that pressure is what pushes me to get it done and doing the research. And now I'm just, next time I go in, I'm one step ahead of the next guy. Right, I've got one up on the guy, the other newbie who might be coming in, and it gives me the opportunity to help other people. I'm in this little group with 4 young guys. Mm-hmm. We're all just locked up their first deal, and I'm a guy with all of 1 year experience, but I've got three properties in it. But you know what? I've done a lot of digging and banged my head against a lot of walls to even get those 3 done. So now I can help them. Right, I can help them and say, hey, these are the things to look out for on this. One of them, he was trying to look at how to house hack or flip a home, and he's up in the Seattle market, super expensive, just like here. I'm like, have you, he just wanted to get a property, he wanted income. I'm like, have you looked at turnkeys? No, what do you mean? I go, look at turnkey properties. If you have, obviously you've got enough cash to put something down where you're at. Well, you can do that elsewhere, turn cash flow much quicker, and not have to worry about rehab or flip or burrs or anything like that.
Well, you're a million times right. I had a woman reach out to me on podcasts. She said, listen, I heard you talk about Airbnb on Instagram. We can't rent out our place we just remodeled. We're thinking about doing Airbnb. I said, okay, great. Give me the details. So she gives me the details. It's in Wisconsin. And I said, look, here's my problem. It's the dead of winter. Nobody's traveling to Wisconsin. I was like, do you have to furnish the place? Yes, we have to furnish it too. I was like, so not only are you in the hole already for the remodel, you're going to have to go in the hole another $7K for the remodel and hope people rent it out. And I said, if this was June, it may be a different story. But that one conversation right there saved them like 12 grand. And all it was a 2-minute conversation because I've already done it. But it took the courage for her to reach out to me and hope that I would respond. And so many people want to carry their ego in the door, and your ego is going to get you homeless. That's what's going to get you.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me is like I journal on a daily basis and kind of write down, and that's one of the things I always try to remind myself is don't be scared to ask for help. Just ask what's it going to hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned to not let my ego got me in a lot of trouble,
mm-hmm.
right? A lot of trouble over the years, and putting that aside is what changed my life in the last couple of years, and you got to put that stuff aside, man. That shit don't matter. That shit don't matter. It doesn't matter who you are.
100%. And so I'm curious, and I always love to ask this question. You're now on your third property in a short amount of time. And it's a 2-part question, so answer it how you feel like it. What was easier than you thought, and what was harder than you thought getting your first couple properties?
Easier than I thought managing them after the fact. When you reach out to people in the area, right? If it's an area you're looking at, and especially if you start talking to quote unquote normal people, right? Your everyday people, the ones who are working and hustling like you are, they don't, I don't want to say take shortcuts, but they know the avenues to go and who you can talk to, who they trust, right? So they can become someone that you trust as well. So like on these Indiana ones, it was, the hard part was, finding a contract that we feel we can trust, right? But now we found that we can trust, managing it after the fact as things are going in, stuff's getting done, much easier, which makes the second one much easier, right? Because now I know I can roll him straight into that other one and knock it out quickly to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
On the hard money one, the numbers were good, but when you don't have a lot of money to build, or it's your first true flip, then it became a little bit harder, right? Lending requirements a little bit tougher, and the money you got to put down is a little bit more. But you know what? I'm resourceful. Between me and my buddy, we're resourceful, and we'll figure out how to get the money and put it down, and we're closing it. We're due to close on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So there's things have been different pieces of it have been harder for each one. But once you flex that muscle once, it becomes repetitive. Because
what you're doing is you're setting, and I think this is a bigger issue on a macro level for just life in general, is that people don't classify priority for emergency wise. And what I mean is, when you're new to it, everything seems like, dude, when I started Airbnb, every text that from a guest was like raised to 15, DEFCON 30, right? And then after time, that muscle's exercise, you're like, oh, they'll be fine. And it's the same thing on a flip or buying properties out of state. I have a business partner who lives in San Diego, an ex-business partner. He has 32 units in Nebraska. He's never seen them, never been to Nebraska. But he's like, I have a great property manager. I have a great agent. I don't need to be there. But what I was interviewing Justin Monk from Money Maverick Project, Maven Project, and he had a great point. Each person that looks at the property, meaning the contractor, the agent, and the property manager, have a different view through the lens they're looking at the property. So if you're not there, you need the different checks and balances from each crew to look at it subjectively. And what I mean by that is the contractor's just looking at finishing electric, plumbing, making it nice. But the property manager is looking at it from a renter's point of view. Well, that's the actual authority on, is this going to rent or not? And so, yes, the contractor might be mad at the property manager, but she's the last stopgap, right? Because you're not there. And so these are the things that you have to learn. But if you have a team that you trust and they're bought into the vision, this can all be executed through laptops and Zoom and electric signs and all those things. And I think, you'll be stepping in when you do move to that market. Eventually, you'll be stepping in already ready to go instead of waiting 2 years from now to feel comfortable to do it while you're there. And I think it's going to pay off big time, because you're only going to be able to ramp it up that much more when you get there.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing with it too is that it gives me the ability to be comfortable going to another market. So let's say this I get tired. This market doesn't work for me anymore. It doesn't make financial sense anymore. It gives me the confidence to open it up in another market, right, and go elsewhere. And have the confidence that I can do it remote. When I want to, when I need to. And that's the one thing I think that's been the number one question. Like, how the hell are you doing it without being there? Like, I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out because I have to. There's ways to do it. Everyone else is doing it. There's no reason why I can't do it.
Because relatively, like, the question that you have to ask yourself is, what's the option? Like, like, not invest, like, sit on the sidelines, be scared. Well, the market's at the highest it's ever been. I know, but there's still deals to be had. Like, okay, well, guess what? And there'll be deals to had when the market's going. So, like, we allow external voices or external circumstances to dictate how we operate in this world. I read something this morning. It's very powerful. The guy said motivation is bullshit. He said it's a scientific fact that external motivation leaves you. There's no possible way that it can stay with you. So the only actual dialogue that exists that can get you to where you need to go is internal confidence and self-talk. And that is the thing that'll get you up every day and keep you moving forward. And so if that's the case, well, then you can listen to you can see all the Facebook memes you need, all the Instagram memes you need, or you can go to the Tony Robbins event. But if you're not doing what you're doing, if you're not taking action and saying, I'm going to figure out later, well, then what are we doing? Right. And I think there's, people are getting charged up, but, like, let's execute, right? Let's execute on what's in front of us instead of worrying about what's out here, and let's handle what's right in front of us.
Yeah. Action has been the key to everything. I mean, it was going out on a limb. It was signing that contract and figuring out, and action is the only way that these things have worked. And I'm a big reader, right? I read about a book a week, and I have for like close to 3 years now. So I read a lot of them personal development, a lot of business, and chunk of real estate, and all of them say that same thing. All these guys are successful because, one, they educate themselves, and two, they took action, right? And most of the time, taking action is the best education you can get. A lot of people, you get those mentors that'll help you through it. But I'll tell you what, the difference between having, a lot of people want their hand held, right? Like, oh, well, do this and then do this. No, a mentor pushes you. Go figure it out, right? When you have questions about how to figure it out, let me know, right? And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that they expect to be, a red carpet rolled out for them from a mentor. Well, no, that's not what a mentor's there for. A mentor's there to push you to be better, right? So you get comfortable doing it on your own. It's not, you're not getting your hand held the whole time.
One of the greatest things I've ever heard when we started our first business was, you're either operating $1 million business or you're operating $1,000 business. And how much time are you spending on topics and conversation on stuff that a week from now doesn't fucking matter? Like, like how long are you spending getting your logo right and worried about your LLC? Like, how about you let the business drive the scale? How about you have so much business that you need to figure these things out, instead of, everybody's worried about the aesthetics instead of, like, getting in and working, right? And actually, like, like losing 60 pounds is work. I don't give a fuck what I'm wearing at the gym. Like, that's not going to do anything for me, but, like, going to the gym and actually, like, dedicated, intentional working out and eating right is how you get it done, not what shoes I wore to the gym.
Yeah. It's so true. And it's, stepping out of your comfort zone, and the whole, a lot of people talk about losing weight, right? Everyone knows what it takes to do that, right? But no one wants to do it. No one wants to do it. Did I do it over Thanksgiving? No, I ate way too damn much, right? And now I'm feeling it, right? And it's just, but I know what needs to be done.
But your mindset is sharp enough to pick it back up again. And I think that's the difference, is that what I see with my clients is that and I'm just going to share it because it needs to be shared. I think the number one thing is to control the downward spiral to not last a week or two, to last a day or an hour or two. And I think once you do that, because there's downward spirals, you're going to have a bad couple days. I've had a really fucking shitty morning, but I'm here, I'm working, I'm showing up, I've got more podcasts to do, but you can turn it around. And the problem is what happens with people and how they gain weight and how they continue to abuse alcohol is they let the one bad day turn into 3 bad days.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and then you keep you rehash in your head, and you just keep going on that spiral. It doesn't no good at all. And I have those days all the time, right, where I get frustrated. You know, if some roadblocks on this last one, I'm like, you know, it's good. Just keep pushing, just keep pushing. And I know it needs to be done, so get off my ass and do it, and things get better.
Yeah, because the moment that you start moving again, and the moment those bad thoughts are gone, right? And what I tell everybody is like, let's say shit goes sideways, right? Let's say a deal falls through. What if your girlfriend's mad at you, or your wife's pissed, or your kids are mad at you? What if your default mechanism for when that happened is you went and walked for 30 minutes? Like, instead of like turn on Netflix or crack open a beer. Like, what if that was your default, right? So, and no matter what storm, you went and got healthy all of a sudden and you didn't even realize that you were doing it, because eventually it's just going to roll into your subconscious and it's going to be what you do. And I think that's what people don't understand, is that you can default to something that's actually positive on the other side of the pain.
Yep. Yeah. It's all about, start with tiny habits, and they build, or like your mantra, right? The 1%, the 1% a day, right? And that's all it is. We build that habit, and all of a sudden, over the course of a year or 100 days, if you're 1% better a day for 100 days, what percent that puts you at, right? The rules of compound interest, right? The compound effect. Darren Hardy, great book, and talks about that. The slight edge, Jeff Olson, same thing. Just make slight little changes to do something a little bit better, and the payoff, months down the road, years down the road, is going to be immense. It's just that small trajectory change today that will change everything down the road.
And something I want to share with you, and I like to get this stuff on camera so it's recorded. I commend you as a person, right? And we can go down the line of, how I'm inspired by you, of the turnaround in your life and the real estate that you bought. But what I'm excited about more, and I think that probably gets you out of bed in the morning, is the shift within the family and the freedom, right, that's available. Because you didn't say, you know what, I fucked up a bunch, like I'm just going to beat myself up for the rest of my life, and I did this to my family. No, you took a different route. Yes, I did those things, but here we are today, and I stand here in front of you as me. And too many times people have shit that happens in the past, and they just continue looking backwards over and over and over again, and they can't remove themselves from that. And when I talk to you and I see you as this new person. Like, that guy is back there, and that's great, and we respect him. But what I get excited about is how present you are, and just living this person, and it's really inspiring.
I appreciate it, man. And that's what drew me to listen to you too, right? You shared some of your stories, like, holy shit, man, we're cut from the same cloth, right? What the, you can be successful, right? And have had a rocky past, and don't get me wrong, I beat myself up plenty in the past, but you know what though? I'm better than that, right? That's selfish. Doing that to me is selfish, right? Because then all of a sudden I'm not being the best person I could be for my kids, my wife, the people I work with, the ones who are depending on me, and I don't want to be selfish, right? I don't want to be selfish. And so, I'm gonna pick myself up, keep moving forward, and I'm gonna live my life today. I'm not gonna live my life from yesterday.
Amen. I don't even want to share, because that was perfect. Boom. So if people wanted to find out about you and get a hold of you, how would they do that thing?
You could search Marcus Merchant. My face is unmistakable. Just, you talk about hard-headed, man. I got no hair left. I'm so hard-headed. But Marcus Merchant, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm always happy to connect and help people out. And if I can't help, brainstorm, talk about it, or put in contact with people who can, whether it be, on a personal level or real estate. And, and I'm an IT pro too, so anything technical that's my earned income today. I'm passionate about it, and it's one of those things that people struggle with, and like I love my job. I really do love my job here, but it won't give me my time, and that's why I'm looking elsewhere. And for those people out there who love what they do, their daily job, it's not going to get you where you want to be. And start doing something on the side, right? So when you are ready to make that change, when you don't love that job anymore, that opportunity is there that you're ready to jump, and you're not regretting not having done it 20 years ago. And we talked about start young, start early, start small, just start somewhere.
No, and I don't want to get into the weeds with this, but I'm tired of people bastardizing W-2 jobs. It's an avenue that puts food on the table for your family. If you take some of that income and you invest it in a long-term asset, then you can leave that job sooner. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and if you're going to work hating it every day, don't hate it. Change your attitude about it, and it will get better. Right? Find out. Just write down the couple little things you like about it. Be grateful for like 2 or 3 things, and that's it. Your whole outlook on it will change. In anything, right? Yeah.
No, I
I
couldn't
have
agree
great
more.
days at work every day. No, I don't. But you know what? I come to show up every day, and my goal is to make it every day a great day. You know, whether it be work, personal, family, real estate, the whole nine. You know, and connecting with people like yourself, man. It's always awesome to connect with people and share stories.
Couldn't agree more. That's what it's all about, my man. Well, guys, if you like this episode, make sure you share it with your friends. We really appreciate you listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.